And I'll say, about how old? He'll say about 53. What's his background? High tech. Just a brilliant technological contributor over the years. That's why he was promoted into management. What's happening? He is now a senior VP. What's the deal? His people almost literally have mutinied. He doesn't turn his back on them because a flying dagger could go through the air. They hate him. Have you had a talk with him? Yes, I have. I want to see his performance reviews. They're mostly lies. Did I say something funny? You can relate to that, can't you? Then I will say, so what's the bottom line? Bottom line is, I told him that you're his last hope. And he says, I have a lot of hope in you, John, because you've done good stuff for us in the past, but this guy is a piece of work. Say, all right. So I call up the person's administrative assistant and I say, would you please give me a block of time? I want 5 hours during the middle of a day. And I will make the reservation at a restaurant. And you have to be careful in some communities because people know and see, and it's such a small world. So I wanted a private corner, far off from anybody else, and I wanted it for 5 hours. We met there at 10:30. We had lunch. Now you can just imagine, here he is forced to be there with this guy. That's tough. That's just the way it is. So I asked him all about his life. What does he bring to the table? How long has he been doing this? What was his background? You can just see it. Well, when I was in 8th grade, I wanted to be a mechanical engineer. And so I got this great guidance counselor in high school who said, all right, we're going to do everything we can so you admitted to where you want to get your engineering degree. So sure enough, he did it, and he was a star in everything he did. And so he went through and got his degree, and he interned somewhere, and they loved him because of his technical skills and his just brilliant. And then what happened? Year after year after year, he was promoted, and he was recognized, and he was promoted, and speaker at this, and a paper here, and he was just recognized. Eventually, he thought the only way he could keep this up is to slip over into management. And you know what happened, and I'm seeing the nonverbal. I'm very astute at nonverbals. I'm watching this. Can I go over here again? Okay. What he did was ended up hating where he went and missing everything he had left behind. And we then, at the company, ended up losing a fine technical contributor and inheriting a lousy but well-intentioned leader or senior manager. And the worse it got, he kept moving up because people would promote him to get him out. It's a real gutsy effort, isn't it? So here's the punchline. After 3 or 4 hours, I said to him, think for a minute, whatever his name was, how many years of professional experience do you bring to the table? And he sat there and he thought. I said, no, I'm not talking about delivering newspapers when you're in school or babysitting. I mean a regular ongoing paycheck. How many years? Now, would you do this yourselves? How many years of professional experience do you bring here tonight, roughly? He thought about it, and then he looked at me and he said, rather arrogantly, which his whole manner was arrogant anyway, to cover up a tremendous amount of insecurity. But nobody would ever guess that unless you started analyzing him. He said, 32. You're also an astute observer of nonverbals, aren't you? He was so arrogant, I wanted to smack him. But then in the back of my mind, I said, all right, I'm going to have several months with this character. And at the end of that period of time, I will know the answer to my question that I'm asking myself about him. Does he really mean 32 years of professional experience? Or does he mean 1 year repeated 32 times? All right, now take the number that was in your mind a minute ago when I asked you, how many years do you bring to this room tonight? It could be 15, it could be 18, it could be 7, it could be 24, it could be 31. Do you really mean that many years of learning, of ongoing improvement, continuous improvement? Or do you mean that many years repeated, etc.? It's interesting. There's a phrase that I've used for years in teaching And it's a little bit blunt, but it goes like this. When you're green, you grow. When you're ripe, you rot. I hope everybody in here is green.